Admiral Zara stood at the center of the Galactic Order's sprawling operations center, his gaze locked on the flickering hologram display, casting an eerie calm over the room. The scene before him was devastating. The remains of Outpost Alpha smoldered in ruin. Once the pride of the Federation's outer defense network, it now lay in smoking wreckage. But it wasn't the destruction that shocked Zara. It was who had done it. The attackers were humans, their ships sleek, black, efficient. Every strike, delivered with ruthless precision. Humanity, once dismissed as irrelevant, a peaceful species focused on development, had just erased one of the galaxy's strongest stations. "We've lost communication with 2 other outposts," an officer reported, voice tight with disbelief. "They're hitting everything." Zara didn't respond immediately. His mind was racing, trying to make sense of it. Why? Why would they do this? How could they? Years of reports flashed through his memory, dry statistics, rising development graphs, trade disputes, nothing like this. The tension in the room thickened. The officer's voice cut through again. "Sir, the humans. They've struck 3 more stations. Every move is precise." Zara turned slowly, his voice grim. "Pull up the nearest fleet. I want eyes on them now," the operations center roared to life. Holograms shifted, screens blinked with warning signals, and scanner alarms echoed through the air, but none of it mattered. Because the truth was undeniable now. The humans were winning. The displays flickered again. More human ships. Another relay station falling. Each strike was surgical. Efficient. Years of training technology far beyond what Earth was ever supposed to have. "Our defenses are useless," another officer admitted, her voice trembling. "They're hitting weak points like they've studied them for decades." Zara's voice was quiet, but the fear was there. "How are they doing this?" We can't track them, Admiral," she replied. "Our scanners barely register them until they're right on top of us." Zara clenched his fists. "This isn't a typical assault. It's a dismantling, 1 outpost at a time." He paused, staring into the tactical display. "But what do they gain? Why do this?" No one answered aboard the battleship Indomitable. General RHS stood calm amid the hum of the bridge. Tactical displays lit his face with cold blue light. Around him, the crew moved in near silence, their efficiency a result of months, no, years of training. This wasn't a war born of panic. It had been planned. "Next target acquired," a crewman reported. "Outpost Theta is down." "S." Nodded. "Maintain schedule. RHS command confirms." His tone was emotionless, cold, but his mind churned with deeper purpose, because this wasn't just strategy. It was survival. The whispers had been true. The Galactic Council had plotted to subjugate Earth within a decade. Diplomacy had been a mask. Beneath it, betrayal. So humanity struck first. "Galactic Command is in chaos," said Lieutenant Adra, standing by his side. "They're still trying to figure out what's happening." RHS's voice was low. "Good. Confusion is a weapon. Do you think they'll ever understand?" she asked quietly. He gave a small, almost regretful smile. "They will. Too late." Back in the operations center, Zara stared at the tactical chart, horrified. Outpost after outpost had gone dark. Their fleet, his fleet, had never seen this coming. The humans weren't responding to an attack. They were delivering judgment, and they were doing it with terrifying effectiveness. One of his officers whispered, "They're ghosts, sir, vanishing." Between scans, no pattern, just devastation. Another report, "Sector 7 is offline." "How?" Zara muttered. "We built these defenses for centuries." But they hadn't been built with humans in mind, Commander A. His second-in-command approached. "The Council demands an explanation." Zara gave no response. He already knew the truth. They had underestimated Earth, not just in strength, but in resolve. "They're not reacting," he said slowly. "They're executing a plan, years in the making." C whispered. "It's like they've been watching us, studying us, waiting." Zara felt the weight in his chest. Earth had seen through the illusion of peace, and while the Council had smiled, Earth had prepared. Now it was too late. On the Indomitable, RHS stood at the window. He didn't want this war, but they had forced it. Adra approached, her voice low. We've eliminated the final infrastructure points. Their defense will collapse. RHS turned to her. We're counting on it. Do you think they'll retaliate? She asked. If they rally, maybe, he replied, but not in time. He knew the risk. They all did. But after intercepting the Council's 10-year conquest plan, they'd had no choice. The time to wait was over. Message incoming, a crewman announced. From High Admiral Zera? The bridge went silent. Zera's hologram shimmered to life, tall and angry. You know what you've done? He growled. You've broken centuries of alliance? For what? A point? RHS stared at him, voice steady. Not a point. Survival. Zera's eyes narrowed. We had no intention of attacking Earth. RHS's tone remained cool. We intercepted your orders. Your council's cut of the conquest plan. Zera was silent for a moment. You've made a mistake. Do you really think you can survive this? RHS took a slow step forward. We don't need to defeat the Federation. We only need to defeat you. Zera's projection trembled with rage. You're playing with fire. Maybe, R said quietly. But it will burn on our terms. The transmission ended. RHS stood in silence. No turning back. Adra returned. Orders, sir. We move. They'll throw everything at us. But we've planned for that too, the engines roared. The fleet shifted. A new day was dawning. Not just on the battlefield, but in the balance of the galaxy. And Earth, once ignored, once underestimated, had just rewritten the rules. The war room of Galactic Command flashed and pulsed. The air thick with tension. Admiral Zera stood in the center, eyes locked on the strategic hologram projecting the battlefield. His thoughts were racing. The fleet was fragmented, dispersed. Every time they tried to regroup, human vessels appeared out of nowhere, striking key formations, then vanishing before a counterstrike could form. This wasn't warfare. It was demolition. Commander. Axe's thoughts were interrupted by a voice. The Council is requesting an update. Zera didn't respond. He kept his focus on the display, his fist clenched on the console's edge. This shouldn't be possible. Humans weren't supposed to do this. Not with such precision, not with such control. Not with such premeditated violence. They had the advantage. They were in command. Tell them, Zera muttered. We're evaluating our options. Even as he said it, he knew there were no good ones. As he hesitated, then nodded. Zera stepped aside, watching as their every practice maneuver collapsed in the face of Earth's aggression. They had prepared for a conventional war, but this was different. He brought up files on Earth's newly developed weapon systems. Quantum-based, cloaked. Capable of bypassing even their most advanced shields. And yet, it wasn't just the technology. It was the intent. Then came the unexpected call. We intercepted a human transmission. A comms officer said. Zera, single quotes as heart pounded. Put it through. He ordered. The transmission came alive. General RHS appeared, projected in pale blue light. His voice was cold. We gave you a chance to avoid this. Zera's jaw tightened. You chose to live with the consequences. RHS's words echoed through the war room like a death sentence. They knew the Council had intended to bring Earth under its rule, that they'd masked domination as diplomacy, and Earth hadn't waited to be conquered. They'd struck first. Zera snarled, stepping toward the hologram. We never intended to destroy Earth. We only wanted to control it. But it was too late. Humanity had seen the truth. They'd seen through the facade and responded with fire across the galaxy. On the command deck of the Indomitable, General RHS stood in silence, staring into the stars. There would be no more negotiations. No more whispered threats, only survival. We've tracked the enemy fleet attempting to regroup. Lieutenant Adra reported. We have coordinates. RHS nodded. The next strike would be merciless. It had to be. Adra paused. Do you think they understand what we're doing? RHS didn't blink. They will. This wasn't just a battle for Earth. It was a battle for the right to exist. Galactic Command had intended to bury Earth beneath bureaucracy and slow control, but Earth had acted first. because by the time anyone noticed, it would have been too late. The enemy was now forming a last stand, a major stronghold, surrounded by shielded outposts, but none of that mattered anymore. Move silently, RHS ordered. The crew fell into focused silence, the quantum cannon powered. Up. A hum echoed across the bridge. And then a blinding beam of light erupted from the indomitable time itself seemed to pause. Ships in the enemy fleet were vaporized, defensive walls shredded like paper. The fortress collapsed. Silence followed. Debris floated. The last stand was over, Adra whispered. It's done. But RHS didn't speak, because the war wasn't over, only the first act was complete. The galaxy will never see us the same way again. Adra said. RHS turned from the viewport. They'll fear what? We're capable of. She looked at him, cautious. Do you think they'll retaliate? He exhaled slowly. Not now, they're broken. But they'll recover, and when they do, we'll be their target. This wasn't about winning. This was about changing the balance of power. Earth had just revealed its strength, its stealth, its weapons, its willingness to act first. They hadn't waited for permission. They couldn't. General, another officer called. Incoming message from the outer systems. A scout patrol. RHS's brow furrowed. They found something different. Debris from a separate conflict, unknown ships, unidentified signals. Terrell stepped forward. Not ours. And not from Galactic Command either. RHS and Adra exchanged a glance. Something had changed. In the chaos, something new had emerged. Get me everything, RHS ordered. Every file. Terrell nodded and vanished down the corridor. Adra stood beside him. It's never over. Is it? RHS's eyes darkened. No, it's just changing. They had defeated a known enemy. An empire they could track and map. But now,